It is every man for himself. The on the nose tagline for the 1992 Royal Rumble pay per view event, live from Albany, New York, in front of around 17,000 fans. This was a historic event, as for the very first time, the Royal Rumble would be contested for the WWF Championship. I'm Chris from Occupy Pro Wrestling, and this is my look back and review of the 1992 Royal Rumble. Alex, roll the intro. All right, so this is an interesting look back for me. I have never seen this pay per view. I was one at the time of airing, and I don't really go back to watch entire events from before my time as a wrestling fan. Wrestling is a weekly show, so there's always something new. Still, with the Royal Rumble coming up soon, we at OPW thought that we would look back at what many fans call the greatest Royal Rumble. No, Alex, not that one. If you could do me a favor, let's pretend I show you one of those graphics showing how many viewers aren't subscribed, and let's pretend that convinces you to subscribe. Alex, don't show anything. It's all a work. Hit the subscribe button for more from Alex, myself, and the crew at Power to the Smarks. Okay, Alex and I are the entire crew. The show opens with Vince McMahon shouting us the names of all 30 competitors in the Royal Rumble. There will be no surprise entrance tonight. That's obviously a trope that develops later in WWE history. Still, I hope this is not the order of entrance for tonight. I know going into this match who the winner is, but I don't know the details beyond that. So at least I want, some suspense for the entry order. Hogan was named last. Is he really coming out at number 30? This crowd looks great, by the way. The arena's full, they're loud. At times I find it really hard to follow Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan and what they're saying as they run down the show. In the first match, just because of how much noise the crowd is making, really good. The first match up is with the Orient Express, Kato and Tanaka with Mr. Fuji coming out first, and they will face the new foundation of Owen Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. My first impression of the Orient Express as they walk down is that I don't think Kato is from any Eastern Asian countries. Actually, I'm pretty sure Tanaka is Hawaiian. Is the name of the stable just because of Mr. Fuji? Now, I know that WWF at this time and for decades before has taken liberties with the foreign character archetype, and I use the word foreign in quotation marks. And so, looking back with my modern lens, I make comment on these things from time to time, but they won't detract from my grades unless something egregious happens. So let's get to the match. The match starts, and while Owen and Kato take a moment to play to the crowd, I really don't like how Heenan talks over the match to put over Ric Flair, and then Monsoon explains who is in the Rumble in more detail. This is the first match of the night. It just started. I know that they are doing a little chain wrestling in the ring, but commentary talking about other things makes me feel like the in-ring action is important to the show. So why should I care as a viewer, right? Also, knowing the outcome of the Rumble in advance, I wonder if fans in 1992 felt like Heenan was telegraphing the finish. Because he talks about Ric Flair all night. And I know that he is aligned with Ric Flair, but it is, knowing the outcome, it's really grating. Or really, really telling on me, for me. So back in the ring, Owen does a springboard arm drag and hurricanrana, which gets the crowd going and snap Monsoon back his focus to the match. Billing the sequence is a dangerous move, and I really like that from Monsoon. The Anvil gets in, and he is an anvil in the ring with Kato and Tanaka just running into him, and I really like the psychology of the sequence. My only notes for the middle of this match, as I look down at my notes that I definitely have right here, right, is that wow, Owen was an amazing athlete. I am locked into this match. I think the new foundation are the faces and fan favorites. So I am confused why Owen tries to rip off Kato's mask, though. Is this one of those things where I'm supposed to think Kato is bad because he wears a mask because he's a foreign character? Maybe that's just a relic of his time. It's a weird moment for me. But then the heels get the referee distracted for a few cheap shots onto Owen, including a sick cane shot, to be honest, from Mr. Fuji. Irish whips Owen into the turnbuckle, and I'd call it the hardware. He kind of chest first into it. They continue to fake these hot tags and get these heel double teams when the referee gets distracted by something, misses the double team, and then punishes the Anvil for reacting to the double team. Honestly, I'm really enjoying the drama here. Finally, Owen with the hot tag, to the Anvil, and the Anvil slingshots right over him into Kato and Tanaka. What a great spot. Anvil wrecks shop. The new foundation cleans house with Anvil tossing Owen around into the other guys. And then the finish comes with Anvil tossing Owen again from the top rope for a splash and the pinfall. The new foundation wins. What a great start to this pay-per-view. And honestly, I'm giving this match an A. I think commentary tends to distract a little bit from the match in promoting the Royal Rumble, especially but when the drama is heightened and when Heenan and Monsoon are focused on what's happening in the match, the match is perfect. There were no mistakes in the ring that I felt like happened. I felt like all the drama of the match was logical. I never felt like the referee was a goof when the heels kept taking advantage. Like it was sound strategy from the heels. And once we finally got that hot tag, the new foundation took care of business. We didn't do a bunch of fake spots. We didn't have to do multiple hot tags. I don't know what more you could ask for in a tag match. It's a solid A for me. Next, we cut backstage to a British man that I do not recognize. No disrespect to that. Recapping the Mountie winning the Intercontinental title 2 days ago in a house show, then being a heel against Bret Hart, only for Roddy Piper to make the save. That seems to be the justification for the next match. They cut to Jimmy Hart and the Mountie with a promo about the match. Real fun from the Mountie, I think. That was pretty fun. They cut to Roddy to retort, and all I can focus on is the smoker's wheezing Roddy does every time he takes a breath. Ooh. I'm sure that's his charm, right? Anyway, the Mountie comes down out for his match. People are booing him, and someone tosses popcorn at him. I love the heat that he has. Next is Piper, and the crowd serenades him. What a great crowd this has turned out to be so far. Roddy takes his shirt off, and damn, he looks good. I only ever saw his 2000 runs for comparison, so yeah, it's great. Jimmy Hart taunts Piper, and then Piper starts the match by blindsiding the Mountie. I love the hot start at Piper, taking it to the Mountie, and I love the Mountie immediately exiting the ring, only for Piper to chase him down. For a match with just 40 hours of build, right? And, a house show, and then tonight, they're bringing the intensity. This is a title match. Piper should be intense, and the crowd is matching it beat for beat. As a funny aside, by the way, Heenan keeps trying to make an excuse to leave commentary, and I guess Gorilla Monsoon is holding him hostage. According to Monsoon, Heenan can't know anything about the Springfield house show the title change happened at because he was presumably in Monsoon's basement. That's my headcanon now. Heenan says he once had a 113-degree fever, and Monsoon resorts to the brain to get a life. Nice way to taunt your hostage. Well, I was distracted by my headcanon, by the way. Piper slaps on a sleeper hold, and it's over. New Intercontinental Champion. The match was maybe, 4 or 5 minutes long. I'm going to grade this match a C+. It was a solid start with Roddy showing the intensity I think is appropriate for a championship match, but it was over really quick. No, not offensive, just not bad. It was just a fine semi-squash match. This was Roddy's only singles title in WWE, and for such a big moment for a guy who had already done as much for wrestling as he has, this title win kind of came out of nowhere. Thankfully, at WrestleMania, he would have a well-received title match with Bret Hart in a few months. On the other side of this was also the Mountie's only singles title in WWE. Clearly, he was booked as one of the many transitional champions from the time period. And what a shame, because in my brief glimpse of him in this pay-per-view, I thought he was an effective heel act. He could have been an effective heel champion. Anyway, we cut back to Sir Alfred Hayes. He's the cool British dude I don't recognize, right? And he's busting into Hulk Hogan's locker room. The Hulkster warns that he's going to have no friends after tonight. Right, probably. We then cut to the Bushwhackers ahead of the next match. They do a lot of yelling, and honestly, I don't know what they are yelling about, but then they introduce a nerdy character behind them called Jameson, who is apparently going to turn to cannibalism tonight. Right. The Bushwhackers also do the arm thing while standing still, or are they mechanical? Is that their gimmick? In the ring, we cut to their opponents, the Beverly Brothers, and the Genius, who is wearing what I presume to be his high school graduation gown, and he has a poem for us. The Genius looks familiar for me for some reason. If you have an idea why he would be familiar to me, tell me in the comments down there. Anyway, I think the Genius gets a good crowd reaction from the poetry. I do enjoy when the heels are annoying. The Bushwhackers come out, and Jameson is bushwhacking and chewing on his tie, presumably because he has plans to consume the flesh of the genius after the match. The bell has run quite a while ago, by the way, as I'm kind of going through this recap, and the Bushwhackers are just being silly in the ring. Meanwhile, Jameson starts on the bread the waiter must have brought to his table. Anyway, this goes on for about 3 minutes, and even Monsoon asks if the bell has run yet. Yes, it has. And finally, a Beverly brother comes in and hits the Bushwhacker to stop their match proper. Don't worry, Jameson found a second bread roll. I hope he doesn't fill up on his carbs. He's got the genius for his entree. It doesn't it doesn't take long for boring chants to come from the crowd. But also, as I wrote that in my notes, it was about 6 minutes have passed and only a few punches have been thrown. Literally 6 minutes, like 3 punches have been thrown. I have no idea what the goal of this match is. You know, one of the Beverly boys knocks down a bushwhacker and starts stomping on him, and it seems they try to start a comeback spot by having them chant "Fight, fight, fight." The other bushwhacker on the apron does that. The crowd kind of plays along slightly, and they dump the Beverlys out of the ring, and we have more time wasting. The Beverly boys surround the ring and they slide in and out on opposite sides to waste more time. Literally in my notes now, as I'm consulting them, 9 minutes in this match, and we've seen 3 punches, half a dozen stomps, and someone getting tossed from the ring. I'm not joking. This is 9 minutes. Jameson has finished all his appetizers, by the way, and he's back to munching on his tie. The crowd starts another boring chant. I mean, this is a disaster. You gave Piper and the Monty 5 minutes. Surely this nonsense could have been cut to give them more time. Like that was fun. This is not. Trust me, I watched this match and I put match in quotation marks. But let's talk about the finish. They have like a little bit of wrestling in between another 6 minutes of actual time wasting tactics. No heat, no intensity, no one seemed interested in what's going on in this match. Like, not the Beverly Boys, not the Genius, not the Bushwhackers. No one's interested in what's going on. The Genius slaps Jameson during another moment. Someone was tossed out of the ring to pause the action, and I put action in quotations as well. Monsoon says the match continues in a furious pace, and I'm not sure that he and I are watching the same pay per view anymore. He must be watching 1991 Royal Rumble on his monitor. Anyway, the Beverly Brothers get the win after a double axe handle, and then the Bushwhackers immediately attack after the bell. I give this match a D minus. The Genius and Jameson antics were the most interesting part of the segment. Let's move on. Somehow that's 3 whole paragraphs in my script. Boy. Next, we cut to Mean Gene and the Legion of Doom, the current tag team champions. This is funny because Animal, I think, delivers a good promo about how the LOD will take on all challengers, but then he throws it to Hawk, who goes on a tangent about the natural disasters making them sick and turning them into dead deers. What is happening? He has a good line, though. Typhoon and Earthquake want to throw their weight around. We want to throw their weight around, too. I don't think I had an accurate Typhoon accent there. Earthquake and Typhoon make their entrance, and hey, there's Jimmy Hart again. Okay. The Legion makes their entrance, and the crowd is back after suffering through the last match. They're starting to get loud again. The Legion exudes cool, I think. The match starts with Typhoon and Earthquake just showing off their size advantage. The LOD, they're not small men, but this sequence is done well. Hilarious moment where Hawk drop kicks Earthquake for no damage, so Earthquake decides to do his own drop kick and he misses. It's great. I gotta say, I think both members of the Natural Disasters, despite their size, they move pretty well. And that's not always the case with guys around their size around this time in wrestling history. We get some good tag team isolation of Hawk by the Natural Disasters, and the crowd does come alive to try to help Hawk out. So, very appreciated from that standpoint. The crowd rallies Hawk again, and he hits a flying elbow to Earthquake, who does the great, stiff fall backwards. Hot tag, and here we go. Animal gets in, picks up some speed, and takes them both the Natural Disasters out with a double clothesline that clears out the ring. A little bit of brawl on the outside, and the bell rings. Did the referee throw the match out? I actually had to, it's in my notes, I had to rewind. The referee just made the fastest count out I've ever witnessed. He just went 1, 2, 3. The Natural Disasters win by count out because Earthquake got back in the ring. But the Legion of Doom, they retained their titles. The crowd boos, and I agree. That was a pretty disappointing finish. I give the match a C. I think the match was, and the way it was progressing was very good and clean. And I had gotten excited at the increased intensity once they started brawling outside of the ring. But then they immediately pulled the rug out with a non-finish. So very deflating. So give it a C. Immediately after the match, Jimmy Hart is backstage saying he's going to call his lawyer. I'm not going to do a Jimmy Hart voice. Then the Natural Disasters get there and also complain about being the rightful champions and calling their lawyer. This ends up being a catalyst, by the way, for a face turn for the Natural Disasters to capture the title a few months later after repeated count-out victories and a feud with Jimmy Hart, who decides to represent another tag team. Good for them, but the Royal Rumble is such a big show, you just can't have a non-finish. They also win by count-out at WrestleMania before finally capturing the titles in July. What a long time to wait for this payoff. So anyway, next we go backstage, and Roddy gives a quick promo about winning the Rumble now that he's the Intercontinental Champion. We then go to Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is still fresh from the infamous barbershop window scene with Marty Jannetty that just happened last week before the Rumble, where he broke up their tag teams at the beginning of the singles run. Officially. The Royal Rumble is the first show with this new Shawn Michaels. Michaels cuts a quick promo about winning the Royal Rumble. After that, we go to Ric Flair, who reveals he drew number 3, and he calls his shot as the real world champion. Ric Flair, of course, had joined the WWF in the fall, fresh from the NWA WCW thing, bringing the big gold NWA belt with him and claiming to be the real world champion, much to Hulk Hogan's chagrin, who was the champion at the time. Ric Flair is sort of the reason really the Rumble is being contested for the World Championship. He helped The Undertaker beat Hogan at Survivor Series, and then he was part of a rematch at Tuesday in Texas, and a match that was billed as no interference. Jack Tunney then stripped Hogan of the title after he won it back because of the 2 controversial matches. He cited both matches as a reason and decided that the Royal Rumble would be contested for the vacant WWF Championship. So now we get a series of promos from Rumble competitors, including Macho Man, Sid Justice, Repo Man, British Bulldog, Jake Roberts, Flair again with Mr. Perfect hyping him. We just heard from Flair, The Undertaker, and Hulk Hogan again. What you gonna do when the little Hulksters are gonna rumble all over you? Ew, Terry. Ew. Other than the Repo Man, there are some intertwined stories between these competitors, so it's clear that these are the guys to watch, and one of them, except Repo Man, is winning. That's where we are as this match begins. The Fink introduces the rules to the match, and Jack Tunney prevents the vacant WWF World Championship belt. It gets booed by the crowd. Jack Tunney does, I guess, for relinquishing the belt. Time to start. Huge pop as the British Bulldog enters in at number 1. And the next out is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I guess he couldn't buy a better number. As soon as Ted hits the ring, the Bulldog swarms him, and the match begins. I won't hold him to it in my overall rating, but I am interested to see how close they hold it to 2 minutes per entrant. We know that modern WWE, AEW, TNA can get very liberal with their interpretation of 2 minutes or whatever time limit they put on these matches. Amazingly, after about 90 seconds of a little bit of back and forth action, the Bulldog eliminates Ted DiBiase and holds the ring alone. They are basically on 2 minutes as Flair comes out at number 3 as previously announced. No music when Flair comes out. Is that a style choice for Flair, or will no one have music going forward? I mean, I'll find out in 2 minutes, right? Good back and forth between Flair and Bulldog, and already Flair is on his knees begging for the beating to stop. He drops his knees, does that Flair thing he does. Next out is Jerry Sags, and alright, this Rumble doesn't have entrance music. That's going to take some getting used to. That's definitely a big part of the appeal for the Royal Rumble for me nowadays. I wonder which Rumble starts tradition of entrance music. Comment below if you know. That'd be cool to know. They team up on Flair to get him under a turnbuckle, and then Bulldog eliminates Sags. Haku is next out, and he's after Flair and Bulldog. And he gets tossed just as Shawn Michaels enters at number 6, and the crowd boos. Michaels comes in hot. We don't get an elimination for a bit. Flair and Michaels skin the cat, over the top rope, those kind of things. The next set of entrants are Artito Santana, the Barbarian, Texas Tornado, and Repo Man. I appreciate how the crowd is constantly making noise. It gives this match the kind of the chaotic fight atmosphere, especially as the ring is filling up. Like we're not watching a scripted wrestling match, but a huge fight. Michaels, of course, as he always does in these matches, has a number of close calls over the top rope during this stretch. including a spot by Tia Santana that I actually thought got him out of the ring. So very good on them. One problem I sometimes have with modern Rumbles is that it's very obvious when guys are waiting around in the corners against the ropes to do their spots. As far as I can tell in this match, I haven't seen anyone do that. I mean, you still have people kind of giving up on throwing people out. You'll see all the time, like, they'll start pushing someone and they're like, well, I can't do it, and they'll go do something else. That happens still. But I also feel like, in a way, in this match, that I don't always feel with modern matches, that the wrestlers are giving off, like, they're trying to win the match, right? We know it's scripted now, but they didn't know. I don't know how many fans knew if it was scripted in 1992. There's always dubious kind of claims on when kayfabe was broken. But I really do appreciate that it seems like everyone in this match is trying to win. So I went back to it. Greg Valentine is out next, and I get a chuckle at how artificial his and Flair's hair looks. I didn't even notice Flair's hair until he got into the ring, and then it's like really obvious because the two of them have these bleach blonde hair. I know I have bleach blonde hair, but I'm cool. Shut up, Alex. Nikolai Volkov is next in. He beats down Reaper Man for a bit, and then Reaper Man low bridges him to eliminate him. Okay. Big Boss Man is out next, and he's after everyone with punches. And then off camera, Reaper Man also tosses Greg Valentine out. Perhaps Valentine slipped. Big Boss Man hasn't, I didn't see it. Like, it was just like in the background somewhere. Big Boss Man has injected energy into this match, and then he blindsides Reaper Man to eliminate him. Flair then shockingly tosses out the Bulldog. The Texas Tornado tries for revenge, maybe, and then he gets kind of flipped over by Flair and the top rope, too. Hercules is next out, and at some point, again, Shawn Michaels and Tito Santana have eliminated one another. I had to go back because it happened just as they cut to Hercules entering, so I didn't catch it the first time around. So we're actually only got 4 guys left in the ring now with Flair and the Barbarian, Hercules, and the Boss Man. The remaining 4 guys try to keep the match a bit. Flair and the Barbarian starts brawling. Hercules tries to dump them both, but only gets the Barbarian. Flair hangs on. The camera cuts to Flair on the apron, like gets a close-up shot at him, and then Bossman dumps Hercules over him. The last few eliminations, they just have not been caught well by production. I'm still wondering if Greg Valentine maybe slipped off the rope. Maybe Shawn Michaels and Tito Santana also slipped. It's possible because they kind of eliminated one another. That was weird. So it's unfortunate, but this is still an early Rumble, so, it happens. Either way, it's just Flair and Bossman in the ring, and so they start to duel. Bossman goes up for a flying clothesline, and Flair bumps to the mat, causing... he does the drop to his face thing, and Bossman flies over the top rope. So Flair is alone right now, just as Roddy Piper runs down. Flair, again, tries to, beg Roddy off, and Roddy goes rowdy on Flair. Flair escapes under the bottom rope, and Piper chases him outside, so neither are eliminated under the bottom rope. They're quick to get back in the ring, with Piper just continuing to beat down Flair. He gets the sleeper hold, and Flair is put down. Flair is acting like he's unconscious on the ring. Jake the Snake Roberts is out next, and he's got some short clotheslines for both men. Jim Duggan is next out to a loud crowd and chants of USA, USA. Then we get IRS next, and the ring is starting to fill up again. Jimmy Snuka is out to more booze, and after him, it's The Undertaker at number 20. The Undertaker was guaranteed a spot between 20 and 30, so, there he is, unlucky. He goes right after Snuka, and Snuka is tossed effortlessly before he turns his attention to Flair's throat. Next is Macho Man Randy Savage, who sprints to the ring, and Jake Roberts bails out immediately into the bottom rope. Savage kind of hilariously looks around like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? He gets attacked by The Undertaker, and then Roberts gets him from behind. Macho Man turns the table, goes to the top rope, thought he might do a splash, but Roberts stands up, so it's just a double axe handle instead. He then tosses Roberts out of the match. He then jumps over the top rope to splash on Jake Roberts to eliminate himself. For some reason, The Undertaker slides out to beat up the Macho Man and toss him back into the ring. Macho Man slides back out under the bottom rope to attack Jake Roberts again, and Undertaker again gets back out to chase Savage down halfway up the ramp and then throw him back into the ring. What is going on here? Then Monsoon says someone has to toss you over the top rope, so Macho Man is still in the match. Undertaker continues to choke Macho Man until Jim Duggan breaks it up. With Jake Roberts gone from ringside, Savage just stays in the match despite being eliminated. He went over the top rope. What a weird sequence. I guess was Undertaker just trying to get Macho Man back in the ring because they had a planned sequence later? For what seems like forever now because of all that, we get a new entrant. In fact, there was actually 5 minutes between Savage entering and then the 22nd competitor, the Berserker. The match has slowed down as next to enter is Virgil, and he brings a little bit of energy back, and then it slows down, and Colonel Mustafa is next to 24. Rick Martel is next to 25. He is the current record holder for the longest Rumble participation. It's like 41 minutes. The cameras focus on RRS trying to eliminate Rick Martel, and in the background, Macho Man tosses Colonel Mustafa out. So again, another elimination barely caught by the cameras. Business picks up as Hulk Hogan, also guaranteed a spot between 20 and 30. He enters at 26. The crowd pops for the Hulkster, of course. He goes right for the Undertaker and Flair to give them a meeting of the minds, and then he bashes Taker and IRS head together too. Now there's Taker, IRS, and Berserker triple teaming Hogan. Hogan sets up Taker for a clothesline, but Dugan gets in the way. Jim Dugan gets in the way. So Taker has to just kind of awkwardly wait in the ropes for Hogan to get around Dugan, and then he clotheslines Taker over the top. While Hogan is ripping off his shirt, Virgil and Jim Duggan then eliminate each other off camera. I haven't kept a tally, but there's like a lot of missed and nearly missed eliminations. I've mentioned a couple times. Also, the Macho Man didn't factor into the Undertaker's elimination at all, and as far as I could tell, never had a planned spot with Taker after Taker chased him down repeatedly to get him back into the match after eliminating himself. Does anyone know what that was about? Comment below. So let's get back into it. Skinner is next at 27 now. They do a split screen at 28 with Sarge Slaughter entering the ring, and my eyes are drawn to Rick Martel, kind of making an alliance in the corner on the other side of the screen with Skinner. Martel directs Skinner to try and eliminate Piper, and then as Skinner goes to eliminate Piper, Martel just tosses Skinner over the rope instead. This is happening during Sergeant Slaughter's entrance, by the way. So Sergeant Slaughter's in like this little split screen kind of coming in. The camera does catch it, and we do get a shot of Martel gloating over his double cross. Sid Justice is in at number 29 to a big crowd reaction. I'd say, honestly, just as big as Hogan's was. Sid Justice at one point gets a hold of Flair to large approval from the crowd as well. And then the Warlord is the final entrance, and we still got 9 guys left. As he's making his entrance, Hogan and Flair get under the bottom rope, and Hogan suplexes Flair onto the floor. Sid Justice does one of the craziest eliminations I've ever seen, whipping Sergeant Slaughter across the ring into the turnbuckle so hard that he just kind of flips over and out. It's definitely the best elimination of the match. Soon after, Piper in the background of another shot pulls IRS over the top rope. He's eliminated, and Piper stays in the apron. So next, Hogan and Sid work on the Warlord and then toss them out together. I snort when the Monsoon exclaims, "What a surprise! Warlord is out of there," when Warlord had the record of the fastest elimination. Although Monsoon early in the match said that Bushwhacker Brook had the fastest elimination ever at 4 seconds. So I wonder if this factoid was eventually retconned or changed. And just like that, we're down to 6. As I wrote that in my script, Sid Justice then pushes Piper and Martel over the top rope while they were fighting in one another. So your final 4, technically 3, but final 4, is Randy Savage, Ric Flair, Sid Justice, and Hulk Hogan. This time, Savage is lifted onto the ropes by Sid Justice, and Ric Flair runs across the ring with a flying knee, and he eliminates Savage. I am still so confused about Savage staying in the match if he had no spots of anyone other than being in Final 4. His only eliminations were Roberts and Colonel Mustafa, and that second one happened at least 10 minutes ago, so very strange, just for me. We are down to 3. Flair having been in the match for nearly an hour, entering at 3. Justice only about 4 minutes, and Hogan about 10. Sid Justice watches as Hogan tosses Flair over the top rope and tries to stomp him off the apron. Hogan is very focused on pushing out Flair, and Sid Justice comes up right behind Hogan and dumps him over the top rope. The crowd cheers loudly. They are behind Sid here. Hogan is very upset at this, making his hands together like he and Sid had an agreement, but Sid shouts, "It's every man for himself, big boy!" I am terrible at impressions. Hogan then grabs Sid's arm to try and pull him out of the ring, like just for some reason. I don't know why Hogan's doing this. So Flair gets him from behind, and with the leverage that Hogan's given him, he just dumps Sid out of the ring. So Flair does the impossible, right? Something never done before. He goes basically the distance, and he wins the Royal Rumble. We'll get back to Flair in a moment, but Hogan acts like the biggest sore loser, getting into the ring to jaw at Ric Flair while he tries to celebrate. Sid gets back in the ring, and they confront one another while producers running out from the back to separate them. I think, maybe this was meant to be played as a Sid Justice heel turn because he was a face and he dumped the biggest face in the company. And it's especially, I think, wrestling this time, the faces and the heels, they kind of are on the same side, right? if you're a face and you work together. The live crowd did not see it that way. There are many stories and rumors that suggest that on re-airs of the pay-per-view, they piped in crowds booing when Sid eliminated Hogan, like in 1992, not now, and had Monsoon re-record commentary condemning Sid for this betrayal and sneaky attack. But at least what is available now on Peacock, which is what I was watching this on, this isn't the case. The crowd, you know, what cheered Sid eliminating Hogan, and Monsoon on commentary thinks it was a legitimate elimination because, again, every man for himself. That's the tagline of the whole show. But anyway, that's it. The match is over. We actually cut backstage with Ric Flair and Mean Gene, and Jack Tunney presents Flair with the world title. Flair cuts his famous promo about having a tear in his eye. I really liked ending the show on Flair giving a victory promo. Lots of fire, lots of energy. And we know this one goes down as, this promo goes down as one of the best in history. So, yeah, that's the Royal Rumble, by the way. What's the greatest Royal Rumble of all time? I'm not sure. I think the result was strong. All previous winners were entrants in the 20s. Not counting Duggan's 20-man effort. Even though it was the first Royal Rumble, I'm not really counting that. And no winner was ever in the match for like more than 20 minutes in previous Royal Rumbles. So this was a big historic moment that would stand the test of time until Chris Benoit a decade later. For me, I think that many eliminations that were missed by the broadcasts and, the confusing stuff with Savage, it hurt the match a little bit. So I'd say, my rating for this match, very strong result. Look Ric Flair winning the world title. Very strong booking, but some sloppy execution from production, and maybe sloppy execution from the wrestlers themselves. So I will grade the 1992 Royal Rumble match as a B+. So here's all of our grades. That's our show. Right here, all of our grades on the side of the screen here. What do you think of our grades? You can let us know in a comment below. If you made it this far, thank you. We love and appreciate you. You can check us out at Power, the number 2, the Smarks, on all of our social media channels, our YouTube, our X, our Twitter, our Blue Sky, our TikTok, if that ever comes back. And of course at OccupyProWrestling.com. Until next time, I'm Chris from Occupy Pro Wrestling here at Power, the number 2, Smarks, and I'll see you next time. Alex, play me out.